some marriages don't fall apart because you were wrong. They fall apart because Allah saw the version of you that was hiding behind the pain, behind the fear, behind the compromises you kept making just to be loved. Sometimes Allah lets a relationship collapse, not to break you, but to rebuild you into a person who cannot be destroyed again. And if you're watching this right now, it's not an accident. It's a sign that the ending you're grieving was actually the beginning Allah chose for your growth, your healing, and your real destiny. When a marriage breaks, the first thing your heart feels is failure. You look at yourself in the mirror and wonder what you could have done differently, what you could have fixed, what you could have sacrificed. You replay conversations. You analyze every mistake. You blame yourself for not being enough, not being patient enough, not being strong enough. But the truth is far deeper than what your pain is telling you. A marriage ending does not mean you failed. It means Allah saw something you could not see. Allah saw the nights you cried silently. Allah saw the moments your soul felt tired. Allah saw the weight you were carrying just to keep the relationship alive. He saw the emotional wounds you were hiding even from yourself. And sometimes Allah ends something because He knows if it continued, it would have broken you in ways that would take years to repair. Allah knows what was spoken behind closed doors. Allah knows the intentions, the sincerity, the efforts. He knows who tried and who didn't. He knows which hearts were truthful and which hearts were drifting away. And He knows when a person you love is not capable of walking with you into the future He has written for you. Your marriage didn't collapse because you lacked value. It collapsed because Allah was protecting the value you could not see inside yourself. If staying in that relationship meant losing your peace, losing your confidence, losing your connection with Allah, then its ending was not a punishment. It was protection wrapped in pain. Many people confuse love with attachment. Many people stay because they fear being alone more than they fear being broken. So Allah, in His mercy, sometimes removes you from a situation you would have never left on your own. Not because you are weak, but because your heart was too loyal, too hopeful, too forgiving to see the reality of what was happening. The end of your marriage is not a sign that your story is over. It is a sign that your story is being rewritten by the one who knows your future better than your past. You did not lose. You were redirected. You were moved away from someone who could not grow with you, so Allah could guide you toward the version of yourself that you were always meant to become. And one day, when your heart has healed and your mind is clear, you will look back and say, "That ending didn't destroy me, it saved me." When Allah separates you from someone, it is rarely for the reason you think. You see the breakup, the divorce, the distance, but Allah sees the heart that needs cleansing before it can love in a healthy, peaceful way again. He sees the burdens you carried silently, the wounds you kept buried deep, because life never gave you a moment to pause and feel them. So Allah gives you that moment. And He gives it through separation. When people leave, when love collapses, when the house becomes quiet, something happens inside your heart. The noise that once distracted you is gone. The pressure you lived under for so long suddenly fades, and with that silence, emotions you avoided for years rise to the surface. The childhood wounds, the fears of abandonment, the insecurities you hid behind a brave face, the trauma you convinced yourself was normal. Allah brings all of it up so you can finally confront what you have been carrying alone. This separation is not a punishment. It is a purification. Allah is clearing space inside you that was filled with pain, confusion, and emotional heaviness. He removes the person you were constantly trying to please, constantly trying to understand, constantly trying to fix, so that you finally have the freedom to understand yourself. In these moments of solitude, you start noticing things you never paid attention to. You begin to see the patterns that repeated in your life. You understand the triggers that caused emotional reactions. You see the parts of yourself that were neglected, because you were too busy holding someone else together. And then something beautiful begins. You start returning to Allah, not out of routine, but out of need. Your dua becomes real. Your salah becomes emotional. Your tears feel lighter. Your heart becomes softer. You begin to speak to Allah the way you spoke to no one else. And you realize He was the one holding you together all along. This is why Allah separates you, not to leave you alone, but to bring you closer to Him, to cleanse your heart from the emotional baggage that was blocking your growth, to wash away the fears that made you desperate for love, to remove the pain that made you settle for less than what you deserved, to heal the wounds that weakened your confidence. Through separation, Allah is rebuilding you from within. He is removing what was damaging your peace and replacing it with clarity. He is clearing away the noise so you can hear His guidance. He is protecting you from people who could not carry your heart with mercy, even if you loved them deeply. This stage may feel lonely, but it is not loneliness. It is repair. It is purification. It is Allah preparing your heart for a love that will be honest, peaceful, stable, and blessed. Many people ask Allah for a good spouse, a loving marriage, and a peaceful home. You make dua for someone who fears Allah, someone who understands your heart, someone who will love you with mercy and not mood. But what you don't realize is that sometimes you are asking for something you yourself are not yet ready to receive. Allah knows your readiness better than you do. Sometimes you think you are prepared, but inside you are still carrying emotional wounds from old relationships. You are still craving validation. You are still afraid of abandonment. You are still reacting from trauma that you never healed. You are still depending on people more than you depend on Allah. If Allah gave you that beautiful spouse at the wrong time, you might lose them because of the pain you never processed. You might damage the relationship without meaning to. You might hurt a good person because of your unhealed past. You might sabotage the blessing you begged for simply because your heart is not yet free from the things that once broke it. So Allah delays, not to deny you, but to shape you. Allah teaches you through heartbreak. He teaches you through separation, through disappointment, through nights where only you and your tears understand each other. Every painful experience opens a part of your heart that you never looked at before. Every loss reveals a weakness you never knew was there. Every silence teaches you where your emotional dependency was misplaced. Through these lessons, Allah makes you emotionally stronger and spiritually wiser. You start understanding what love actually is. It is not possession, it is not fear. It is not sacrificing your dignity. It is not breaking yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. Love in Islam is mercy. It is tranquility. It is respect. It is patience. It is honesty. It is a connection that brings you closer to Allah, not further away. But to recognize this kind of love, you must become the person who can hold it, and that requires growth. So Allah prepares you. He slowly separates you from the versions of yourself that were insecure, reactive, emotionally unstable, overly dependent, or afraid of being alone. He teaches you how to stand again without needing someone to hold you. He teaches you how to see your worth without someone validating it. He teaches you how to love without losing yourself in the process. When you ask Allah for a righteous spouse, you are not asking for just a person. You are asking for a responsibility. You are asking for a relationship that requires maturity, patience, and emotional intelligence. Allah will never send you a beautiful marriage while your heart is still carrying the habits that destroyed the last one. This is why the delay happens. This is why people leave. This is why things fall apart before they come together. Allah is not preparing the marriage first. He is preparing you. And when that preparation is complete, when your heart is steady and your soul is grounded, you will look back and understand why Allah said not now when you wanted Him to say yes. There are moments in life when you look back at who you used to be and you barely recognize that version of yourself. The way you loved, the way you tolerated disrespect, the way you kept silent to avoid conflict, the way you ignored your own needs just to protect the relationship. That old version of you was surviving, not living. And Allah knew that if your marriage continued the way it was, you would stay stuck in that unhealed version of yourself forever. So Allah allowed the marriage to shake, not because He wanted to hurt you, but because He wanted you to awaken. Some people grow when life is calm. Others only grow when life breaks. And you were one of those people whose greatest transformation would come through pain, not comfort. If everything remained peaceful, if everything stayed familiar, you would have never confronted your weaknesses. You would have never questioned the emotional patterns that kept repeating. You would have never realized how much of yourself you sacrificed just to avoid losing someone else. Sometimes Allah lets your world collapse, so you finally see what needs rebuilding. He takes away the person you leaned on, so you can learn to stand on your own. He removes the place where you hid your emotions, so you can finally process them. He exposes the wounds you kept ignoring, so you can finally heal them. He interrupts your comfort so you can meet the version of yourself you were always meant to become. During the marriage, you may have become the peacemaker, the fixer, the one who held everything together. You may have made yourself small just to keep the home calm. You may have stopped expressing your needs because you feared being misunderstood or judged. And slowly, without even noticing, you drifted away from the person you once were. The ending forced you to rediscover yourself. You learned to speak again. You learned to set boundaries. You learned to protect your peace. You learned to say no without guilt. You learned that loving someone does not mean losing yourself. You learned that silence is not always patience. Sometimes it is self-abandonment. And you learned that you deserve a love that grows with you, not a love that keeps you trapped. Allah did not remove you from that marriage to punish you. He removed you because the next level of your life required a stronger, wiser, more emotionally grounded version of you. A version that could make better decisions. A version that wouldn't tolerate what you used to tolerate. A version that could receive the blessings that are coming without ruining them. The truth is, if the marriage did not fall apart, you would not have become who you are today. You would have never discovered your strength. You would have never rebuilt your confidence. You would have never learned the value of your own heart. Sometimes, Allah takes you out of a relationship because you outgrew the place where your old wounds were created. And He knows you cannot heal in the same environment that broke you. One day, when you look back at this chapter, you will understand the wisdom behind every tear. You will realize that Allah was not destroying your life. He was rebuilding you from the inside out. Pain has a way of shaping you in ways comfort never could. When life is easy, when everything feels stable, when love feels predictable, you rarely look deep inside yourself. You rarely question your patterns, your wounds, your emotional habits. But when pain enters your life, especially through someone you deeply trusted, it awakens everything inside you that you never paid attention to before. Those nights when you cried silently, trying to hide your tears even from yourself, were not meaningless. Every tear carried a truth that you avoided for too long. The pain forced you to see what your heart was too loyal to admit. The exhaustion pushed you to face the reality you kept trying to fix. And in those moments of breaking, you discovered a level of honesty with yourself that comfort would have never given you. Pain teaches. It teaches you who you are without anyone beside you. It teaches you what you truly value, what you truly need, what you truly deserve. It exposes the parts of your heart that were operating on fear. Fear of being alone, fear of abandonment, fear of losing love, fear of not being enough. These fears were directing your decisions more than your wisdom was. Comfort would have kept you exactly where you were. Pain, however, moved you. It shook you. It forced you to grow. It pushed you to seek Allah in a way comfort never inspired. During ease, your dua is calm. During pain, your dua becomes alive. During ease, your salah is routine. During heartbreak, your salah becomes your lifeline. Pain pulls you closer to Allah because it breaks the illusion that you can survive without Him. Every time your heart cracked, something deeper opened within you. Your empathy grew. Your patience increased. Your perspective changed. You learned to understand others more gently because you knew what real hurt feels like. You learned to protect your peace because you finally understood how easily it can be destroyed. You learned to listen to your inner voice, the voice you ignored for years because you were too busy trying to save something that Allah was trying to remove. Pain refined you. It burned away the parts of you that were built on insecurity. It removed the desperation that kept you holding on too tightly. It purified the parts of your heart that depended more on people than on Allah. It taught you how to love without losing yourself, how to give without draining your soul, how to forgive without forgetting who you are. Most importantly, pain reminded you that you can survive what you once thought would destroy you. You discovered strength you never knew existed. You found resilience you didn't know you had. And deep down you realized that if Allah carried you through the worst, He can surely give you the best. If that marriage stayed comfortable, if everything remained easy, you would never have become the person you are becoming now. Pain was not sent to punish you, it was sent to prepare you. And one day, you will look back and thank Allah for breaking you, because that breaking was the beginning of your rebuilding. One of the greatest lies Shaitan whispers into a wounded heart is that you have lost your only chance at love, that the person who walked away was your destiny, that your future will never hold someone better, that what slipped from your hands will never be replaced. In your moments of grief, these whispers feel real, they feel heavy, they feel convincing, but the truth is far different. Allah does not take something from you unless He is protecting you from what you cannot see. The person who left was not your last chance. They were only a chapter, not the entire book of your life. Your story did not end with them. Their exit was not the final line of your destiny. Allah is the one who writes your life, and His ability to bring you someone better is not limited by your past, your age, your fears, or your heartbreak. The one who left did not carry your future with them. Allah is the one who holds your future. Maybe you loved them deeply. Maybe you invested everything you had. Maybe you believed they were the one. But sometimes the person you think is your forever was only meant to be your teacher. Sometimes they came to show you what love is not, so you will recognize what real love looks like when Allah finally sends it. Sometimes they came to awaken something inside you. Sometimes they came to prepare you, not to stay with you. It hurts when someone you wanted to build a life with chooses a different path. It hurts when the dreams you held in your heart suddenly collapse. But heartbreak is not an ending. It is a doorway to a future that is more aligned with who you are becoming. A doorway to someone whose presence will not confuse you, hurt you, or disturb your peace. A doorway to a marriage that will be built on mercy, understanding, and sincerity. Shaitan wants you to believe that your value decreases when someone leaves you. Allah wants you to understand that your value was protected by removing the wrong person. Someone walking away from you is not a sign you are unworthy. It is a sign they were never written to stay. And even if you think you will never love again, remember this: hearts that heal become deeper, softer, wiser, and more capable of loving in a healthier way. You are not the same person you were before. You are stronger now. You have more clarity. Your expectations have matured. Your boundaries have improved. Your connection with Allah has grown. The next person Allah brings into your life will meet a version of you that is far more prepared for real love than the version that loved before. Your heart is not running out of opportunities. Allah is protecting your heart until the right person arrives, the one who will treat you with dignity, the one who understands your silence, the one who respects your boundaries, the one who values your presence, the one whose soul aligns with yours, the one who will help you grow instead of reminding you of your pain. You did not lose your last chance. You simply closed the wrong chapter. The story Allah has written for you is still unfolding, and nothing that left your life was meant to be part of the ending. There are moments in life when you look back at the relationship you lost and realize something you couldn't see while you were inside it. You begin to recognize how far your heart had drifted from Allah. You notice how your salah became rushed, how your dua became empty, how your mind was always occupied by the person instead of the one who created them. You see how slowly, quietly, without even noticing, your Iman began to fade. And that's when you understand why Allah stepped in, even when you didn't want Him to. Sometimes Allah lets a marriage collapse because He is saving your faith. Not every separation is about incompatibility or conflict or mistakes. Sometimes it's about your soul. Allah saw that the relationship was taking you away from Him, not because the person was evil, but because the bond became your priority over your deen. You started compromising your values, diluting your boundaries, ignoring the whispers in your heart that told you something was wrong. And Allah loved you too much to let you continue down a path that would damage your faith. You may not realize it at the time, but a relationship can become a test of your Iman. You might lower your standards just to keep the peace. You might tolerate disrespect just to avoid losing someone. You might accept things that were never acceptable in Islam. You might start depending on the person more than you depend on Allah. And when this happens, Allah intervenes. He removes you before the relationship takes you deeper into emotional harm or spiritual emptiness. You ask why the marriage ended. Allah answers you through the changes in your heart after it's over. Suddenly, you feel your soul waking up. You feel your salah returning with meaning. You find yourself raising your hands in dua again. You feel the tears cleansing your heart. You feel your faith breathing again. These are not coincidences. These are signs that Allah saved you before you lost yourself. Sometimes the collapse of a marriage is not the destruction of your life. It is the rescue of your Iman. Allah protects people in different ways. Some He protects with wealth. Some He protects with health. Some He protects with signs. But some He protects by removing what was quietly damaging their soul. You may feel heartbroken because a person left you, but at the same time you may not realize that Allah stayed with you. And when Allah stays, nothing valuable is truly lost. The person who walked away was not carrying your future, your destiny, or your happiness. What's written for you will never be taken from you. Allah only removes what blocks the blessings that are coming. This is why, after a painful ending, many people find themselves becoming more spiritual, more reflective, more connected to Allah than they ever were before. Because when Allah takes someone away, He often replaces them with Himself first. He brings your heart back to the one who never leaves. And from that place of closeness, He builds you again. One day, you will thank Allah for saving your faith in a moment where you thought He was breaking your heart. Your future love story is not going to look like your past one. It's not supposed to. The person Allah has written for you is not someone ordinary. And that is why the preparation you are going through right now feels heavy, slow, and painful. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. And Allah is not just preparing you, He is preparing the person who will one day stand beside you. Your future spouse needs a version of you that is healed, calm, mature, emotionally steady, spiritually aware, and wise. They need someone who knows how to communicate without fear, how to love without losing themselves, how to trust without collapsing, and how to stay patient in moments of difficulty. These qualities are not developed during peace. They are developed during heartbreak, silence, reflection, and rebuilding. That is why Allah allowed what happened. Not to break you, but to shape you. Imagine meeting the right person at the wrong time. Imagine meeting them when your heart was still full of wounds from your past. Imagine meeting them when you were still reacting from fear instead of clarity. Imagine entering a new marriage while carrying the unresolved pain from the previous one. You would not be able to give them the love they deserve. And even worse, you might not be able to receive the love they offer you. Allah knows this. So He delays the blessing until you are ready to hold it with both peace and maturity. Your future spouse is also going through their own journey. You may not see them, you may not know who they are, but somewhere in the world, Allah is teaching them lessons that will prepare them for you. Maybe they are learning how to be patient. Maybe they are learning how to communicate better. Maybe they are healing from their own heartbreak. Maybe they are becoming more responsible, more compassionate, more spiritually aware. Allah is polishing them just as He is polishing you. When the time is right, your paths will cross naturally, without force, without fear, without confusion. You will recognize them not because they are perfect, but because their presence will feel peaceful, your heart will feel safe, your mind will feel calm, your soul will feel understood. With them, you won't have to beg for love, or chase affection, or fight for emotional stability. Allah will send you someone who comes with clarity, not confusion. But before Allah gives you someone beautiful, He makes you beautiful inside. Before He writes a new marriage for you, He writes growth inside your heart. Before He unites you with the right person, He separates you from the wrong one. Before He blesses you with the tranquility of a righteous spouse, He removes the chaos of a harmful relationship. Your future spouse deserves the healed version of you, and you deserve the healed version of them. That's why the delay is not a denial. It is divine timing. It is mercy. It is protection. It is preparation. And when you finally meet the one Allah has written for you, you will understand why every heartbreak, every delay, every unanswered dua, and every moment of loneliness was part of your preparation to love deeply, wisely, and beautifully. Healing is not something that happens just because time passes. Healing happens because Allah decides it is time for your heart to breathe again. You may think you are healing on your own, but every moment you feel a little lighter, every day you feel a little calmer, every night you cry a little less. That is Allah quietly rewriting the state of your heart. At first, the pain feels permanent. You wake up with a heaviness in your chest. Your mind keeps replaying what happened. Your soul keeps asking questions with no answers. You feel like you are stuck in the same emotional place, like nothing is changing, like the wound is too deep to ever close. But slowly, without you noticing, Allah begins the process of healing. Healing begins when Allah removes the emotional fog that once blocked your clarity. You start seeing things differently. You begin to understand why certain doors closed. You begin to realize why Allah removed certain people. Your mind becomes clearer about what you want, what you need, what you cannot accept anymore. This is not you becoming wiser by accident. This is Allah upgrading your heart. There comes a moment where you realize that the pain that used to break you now teaches you. The memories that once triggered you now strengthen you. The person who once had power over your emotions now feels like part of a story that no longer controls you. This change does not happen because you forced yourself to move on. It happens because Allah healed a part of you that you could never reach on your own. Healing is part of your Qadr. Allah wrote your pain with purpose, and He wrote your healing with precision. Nothing you feel is random. Nothing you overcome is wasted. Every stage of your emotional journey is written with divine wisdom. When Allah decides it is time for your heart to rise again, not even your own sadness can stop it. You begin to notice small shifts. You forgive faster. You speak kinder. Your heart softens. Your reactions change. You start valuing your peace more than people's approval. You begin to appreciate solitude instead of fearing it. And most importantly, you start trusting Allah's plan in ways you never trusted before. This is the transformation Allah wanted to write inside you. This is the version of you He was building all along. A version that is not held hostage by the past. A version that is not afraid of the future. A version that is emotionally steady, spiritually aware, and ready for the blessings He has prepared. One day, you will wake up and realize you are no longer hurting the way you used to. Not because the past disappeared, but because Allah gave you a new heart, one that carries wisdom instead of wounds, clarity instead of confusion, and peace instead of pain. Your healing is not late. It is arriving exactly when Allah knows your heart is ready. Every ending you went through, every tear you shed, every moment you questioned your worth, every night you asked Allah why things unfolded the way they did, none of it was ignored. Allah was not closing doors to hurt you. He was closing them to protect you, to redirect you, to shape you, and to guide you toward a life that matches the person you are becoming. Your story is not defined by who left, who stayed, who failed you, or who misunderstood you. Your story is defined by the one who never left your side for even a second. The marriage that ended did not end your destiny. It only ended a chapter that had served its purpose. Your life did not stop the day they walked away. In truth, your life quietly began again. You have survived the heartbreak. You have survived the silence. You have survived the confusion. You have survived the days where your chest felt heavy and your future felt empty. And you did not survive because of your strength. You survived because Allah carried you when you didn't know how to carry yourself. What is ahead of you is not pain. What is ahead of you is not loss. What is ahead of you is not fear. What is ahead of you is something rebuilt, something purified, something written with mercy and wisdom. Allah did not take anything from your life, except what was blocking the blessings waiting to enter. Trust the timing of the one who sees everything you cannot. Trust that your tears planted seeds of growth, and those seeds are about to bloom into something far more beautiful than what you lost. Trust that Allah is not just preparing your heart, He is preparing your future. He is preparing the person who will walk into your life when your heart is healed and your soul is ready. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not alone. You are being rebuilt by the one who knows exactly how to restore you in a way no human ever could. One day, you will look at your life, your peace, your home, your new love, your stronger self, and you will say with a heart full of calmness, "Every ending Allah wrote was the beginning I needed. Every heartbreak was a doorway. Every delay was protection. Every silent night was preparation. And nothing that happened was ever meant to destroy me. It was meant to build me." Your story is still unfolding, and the most beautiful parts are still on their way.